Hey folks, Matt Rabbit here. We're going to start a new Let's Play, roleplay kind of thing with Skyrim. So let's go right into it. Okay, so we're back doing a Breton Rylos Kar. Basically, if you guys remember my first Elder Scrolls Online Let's Play, that was him. So I'll probably be letting this go here just a minute, because it's got to register some of these MCM menus and stuff, loading some of the mods. We're obviously doing the alternate start mod, so that's why I'm not in the wagon to Helgen right now. For those of you wondering, this is not the special edition of Skyrim, obviously. If you've seen my recent video, I'm not a big fan of it, so I just prefer modding this one. So we're going to do a few configuration things here, and I'll go over some of the mods that I'm doing, at least the ones that are listed here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the build. I got Apocalypse spells. There's a patch for that. Also, because I'm using Ordinator, that's my perk Overhaul. Better vampires, and in Rylos Kar case, he became a vampire in Elder Scrolls Online, so I'm role-playing this as the same Rylos Kar from my Elder Scrolls Online series. Basically what happens is, after the events of the Second Era for Rylos Kar, he basically sort of like went to sleep or was captured in some fashion. Kind of like that character from the Dawnguard DLC in Skyrim, Serena or Selena, so whatever her name is. Where basically he's kind of like asleep for a couple thousand years and he wakes up in the Fourth Era. So this is going to be the same Rylos Kar. As you guys know, my three previous seasons of Skyrim Roleplay, plus the Oblivion Roleplay I did, in my mind, it's one same continuity, so I try not to do the same storylines in them, and I kind of have them like so they're all in the same world. So I will probably maybe someday release a video that maybe goes over the storyline I'm doing with all of it. But as a result, I've not done vampires yet. At least I've not been really happy with the vampires I was trying to do before. So Better Vampires is actually pretty good. I have playtested a little bit, so it's not bad. We're going to be using Forgotten Magic. Rylos Kar was a sorcerer class in Elder Scrolls Online. That was sort of like in my mind I wanted to be like a Necromancer type. So the ones we're gonna probably focus on Warlock. It's got 4 spells. Now if you know anything about Forgotten Magic, you can disregard what I'm saying, but basically what you do is you're leveling up the spell itself and you're adding perks into that spell to level the spell up. So in the case of Warlock, there's 6 spells, and we'll have to find these naturally in the environment. And I'm going to do Pyromancer. And I'm not entirely sure. Some of these I might not do. Ancient Lich actually sounds pretty cool. I haven't done any of the Cryomancer stuff. I have playtested some of the spells from Warlock. I have the Harvest Overhaul and the creature version of it. I'm still debating whether I'm going to do anything with that. But for right now, let's do the creature one. I'm not using any immersive kind of like eating and sleeping mods or like Frostfall that takes into account the environment. A, it wouldn't make much sense with him anyway because he's a vampire. B, they're script heavy and I really just don't want all that bogging me down. My system's kind of, I don't know, it's like it crashes every once in a while, so there's probably things that are not like really meshing up right, but with my mods and stuff. Plus I don't know, just the game's a little bit unstable anyway. Like if you want to get flesh from people, I might have that in there. Blood potions for vampires, yeah, why not? Crushing recipes if you want bone meal. Items crushed at forges, I guess. I mean, you might as well be able to crush these, not that I really care. Cooking doesn't matter so much for him, he's not going to eat. I do have the wearable lanterns mod, but I'm just gonna buy a lantern and I'm not gonna use the oil. And so I don't really necessarily need that on. We don't have Skyrim for the scroll crafting. Hunterborn, yeah, I sort of like Hunterborn only if for no other reason than you get more materials off the animals and stuff that you kill. So I may enable that and the monster hunter part of it. So let's start that. Exit. So that's activating. I'm not going to be using any of these other things like sense direction, scrimshaw, forage, primitive cooking. The Immersive Armors is on there also. I'll leave that as default, whatever the settings for that are. Yeah, this episode is not really going to be a playing episode. I'm like setting up. I'm going to talk about the mods and the build, and maybe just show you the actual start features. Field dressing takes time. No. Skinning takes time. No. Harvesting takes time. No. Butchering takes time. No. I'm not even going to be using foraging, so it doesn't matter. Those will be all on. Pelt values. I actually kind of like the idea of them being valuable, but I won't be trading them in anyway. I'm not really sure. I don't think I'm gonna do. You actually want this a little bit. Let's go to moderate. Now I don't think I'm gonna be doing blacksmithing with him, so it doesn't matter so much. So the pelts can be, you know, more. The meat doesn't matter. I could actually lower that to single cut since he's not gonna eat. Using animations, no. I mean, it's neat for immersive sake, like when you're doing that kind of thing, like when you first do this, but after a while it gets sickening, so. Imaginator. Now this will affect, for those of you that don't know what Imaginator is, if I can get it, will it go in? No, I have to exit out. It's probably trying to do a few things. Imaginator will affect the, like the saturation, the colors, and stuff like that, so. And yes, it will this time. How lovely. I'm trying to remember what I had. I might have to look this up and adjust this later. I basically just put 0.1 into parchment and holy hell. I think I do. Normally I do 5, 1, and 5 on this, but I've seen it's not actually too bad when you go 10. No, I'm going to experiment with this somewhat. But well, for now, let's just do that. Sometimes putting a little bit of bloom in isn't too bad. Now this is more experimental. Because, well, no, we'll leave that as is for now. We'll see how it is. And sometimes they put like a little bit in the magenta. Blue. It might not be very noticeable. Let's just actually exit out and see how that looks. It's a little reddish. So that magenta, maybe I'll lower that down later on, but alright, Immersive Armors will leave as is for now. Immersive Heads Up. The only thing I really want to do is I want to toggle with the X button, and that's it. Coordinator person really shouldn't have to mess with any of that stuff. Now this thing here, this passive weapon enchantment recharging, I'm not really going to be, I don't think I'm going to use it for him. I'm using it for my other people, but for him he doesn't need it, because that's more for like your charges on weapons and stabs will regenerate themselves after a while. It's actually really nice, but I imagine it's probably a little bit script heavy, so I don't really want it on him, since he's not really going to use stabs too much. And if he does use stabs, which I may use him, we may use a staff occasionally, I'd rather have him actually have to power it up. You know what I mean? Dance of Death, I'm probably not going to have to. I don't really care about the last enemy and perk restrictions. Let's see here. I like third person when they show that. So yeah, I guess I do have to do a few adjustments on that. Wearable lanterns. We're not going to use oil, so we're just going to leave everything as is, I think. I don't care about the, obviously the meters will be off. And Winter Mist Chance are on. I obviously have some other mods installed. Check the description for all of them. I'll mention them as I go along in the Let's Play, but these are the most prominent ones. So now, alternate start, live another life. We're going to start off as a vampire anyway. So, I'm a vampire in a secluded lair. Probably gonna be the one we use. I don't think I've ever used this start before. Could do that. Warlock's Thrall.
Beware the creatures of the night.
Yeah. So to start the mod, you just go to bed, go to sleep. You'll end up wherever you happen to end up.
Don't speak to me, meat.
Why are they not hostile to me?
Too much hiding. The mortals are...
I'm just looking for spell books here. Maybe a few things that'll at least help me get through things. Now, from a role-playing point of view, yeah, he would not be waking up in the midst of this kind of a lair. So, because his outfit is absolutely atrocious. So what I might be doing, he's got this big line in his face. So that wasn't there before. I don't know what that's up with that. Over here. This is mainly like just me setting up a lot of things right now, guys. So you're wondering why I'm just kind of. I want to go over my build here in a moment. Absorb 50% of magic from hostile spells. We'll put that in there. Mortal Mask. I can't even read the text on this. It's so freaking small. The spell will blind others to your vampire appearance for 15 minutes and keep them from attacking you. However, it inhibits magic or regen and can draw upon blood points or health. Casting this spell, well, already active, will dispel it. I've not used this one before, but what I want to do is I want to favorite that. Favorite probably a lot of these. Let's see, Praetorian Sanguinaria allows you to turn a feeding vip into an ally. Yeah, all these are probably... We're going to rely heavily upon this stuff. Let's go into the skills. He's going to be probably focused mostly on destruction, mainly going up cold, because he's going to be a cryomancer as far as his stats go. But I am not entirely sure how much the Forgotten Magic spells benefit from the actual skill perks, because you're upgrading their perks within that mod upgrade system. So I'm not even entirely sure I would benefit a whole lot from putting points into this if I'm using those only exclusively. So I may mix in and test out some vanilla and apocalypse spells and see, obviously, if I get this amped up way up here with a lot of perks into the, you know, frost and stuff like that. So we'll see what does better. You know what I mean? So I may have that. Because he's dabbling in necromancy, I'm going to have some of the necromancy related things here for conjuration. So this one right here, we're probably going up this line and maybe summoning Daedra and stuff on this line for the Atronox. So I'll be looking into those. He's going to be heavily relying upon sneaking and illusion. I have not play tested anything from the illusion tree, however, with Ordinator, so this is going to be kind of new to me. Obviously, I'm going to probably try for some of these silent spellcasting things like this. I really, my desire is for him not to really get into any combat or a whole lot of combat, and only rely upon the destruction stuff early on, and if he's in a really tight situation, to rely more upon dead things and using illusion to trick people into killing each other or calming them or whatever. So my main focus will be on those three. I know there's like a Necromancer side of restoration, but I want to sort of preserve my perk points for these three trees and not do restoration. Alteration again would be nice for some protective abilities, but I'm not sure yet when I'm going to do alteration. Enchanting he will be doing. Blacksmithing he won't be doing. Or, well, you know, actually I could do alteration and not bother with heavy or light armor. That may actually be better, because there's a couple things here, if I can find it. If you're not wearing any armor, your stone flesh and protection spells are better. I know typically what I would normally do with a mage build that uses cloth would be to use some heavy armor, like for the boots and the gloves. but I'm actually, it would be pointless. In this tree I have tried to do it. Almost every freaking one of these perks up here, beyond this one here, is requires all heavy armor. So it's, you wouldn't be putting any perk points into that, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a pointless skill tree to put into. So I'll be ignoring most of this stuff. Sneak, some of it we'll be doing. But I would like to eventually very heavily rely upon sneak, so some of these other ones we may dabble in. I'm going to have to do some research in this, man. I've not done much with that tree. Was thinking maybe alchemy, and if I do alchemy I would do pickpocketing so I can put poisons in people's inventories and stuff, but I'm not sure about that. And I'm not even entirely sure I'm going to do alchemy with him. Although he would have to heal in some way. If I'm not going to do restoration, alchemy would have to be the way to go. I'm only going to do a little bit in alchemy. I'm not going to put too many perks into it. So I'm going to add some equipment to him using the player, add item, and then putting in the item codes for him. Because I want him to look a little bit different than this. And I might actually, I'm debating whether to give him one of the forgotten magic spells right off the bat, just so he's got something to roleplay with. So I'm going to be doing that off air. If you have any other suggestions for mods and stuff, like right now I'm thinking I have interesting NPCs on. So if any of you are familiar with the followers in that, if you know one that's good, that would roleplay well with a vampire type guy or necromancer type guy, let me know, because I don't know all their locations. Particularly tell me where their location is. Also, I would be interested in any player housing that would maybe work well with him. I don't want anything that's huge or elaborate, but or script heavy for sure, because I'm using Thorn Rock right now for some of my people, and I have another one that's in Windhelm that's like kind of a scary necromancer type of house that I may use for him. Since I have it installed already. I forget the name of it. It's not listed here, but it's probably listed in the description. So I might be using that one. Can I feed on these people? Or will they get instantly hostile? Because I'm not entirely sure they would. I think you can feed on the vampire. Yeah, see, I don't think I can feed on So I actually don't want to go and talk to Daedric Lord right now. Not to mention, from a continuity standpoint, in my first season, Malryn, he actually did that quest. So it would not really work well with him to do that. The entire cave is pretty much neutral towards me. That's pretty nice. Get a few items to start with.
Need something?
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this. So this is where we're going to end right here. And I will see you guys next time. Adios.